Okay, we're back. You guys are asking some really, really, really strange questions here.
I know.
Jeez. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to go through population dynamics quickly with you. What we've got here is a question which shows the population of baboons in a habitat. Answer the questions that follow. So here you've got your little baboons. There's the population. You've got the number of baboons is always on the y-axis, and time in years is in the x-axis, and I need a pen here. All right, so we've got that, and it's A, B, C, D, and E. So this is a kind of graph. The type of graph you're looking at here is an S-shaped, or we can call it a sigmoid graph. Okay, so what we do immediately is look at this and say, right, A is the lag phase. It's the lag phase because, people, this is when the organisms move into an area, okay, and they are acclimatizing. So think of a bunch of little bunny rabbits, okay, 10 males, 10 females, and they decide, we've had enough of this place here, we're packing our bags, we're going to live together. All right, they're going to do a little commune thing. They walk and walk and walk, and they arrive at this beautiful little hill. The grass is sweet. There's a little river that runs, or a little spring that runs past. So there's water. It's protected. Huge big tree. They can spot the eagles and the hawks a mile away, which are their predators, and they decide, this is the place to be. And they make the little homes, and the males and the females mate. And now the females have the gestation period. In other words, the population doesn't increase. Then all of a sudden, whoops, whoops, they have an incredible increase. This is the geometric growth phase. Okay, so we start off here with about 10 baboons, and each of those mommy baboons has at least one baby, if not twins. So we end up with the population going up very, very rapidly. And the babies and the babies have babies, and the babies and the babies have babies, and so we carry on. It's the geometric growth phase. Then it starts to equal out a bit, and we have the equilibrium phase, which means it's sort of your death rate and your birth rate are equal. Okay, remember, when your birth rate is higher than your death rate, you have a population increase. When the birth rate is less than the death, or is less than the death rate, so there's more death rate, the population will decrease. When the population is stable, it doesn't mean that you sit with 10 organisms and those 10 organisms survive for the rest of their life. It means that you'll go from 10, you'll go to 15, 3 will die, 1 will get caught, 1 will get sick, and the population will drop, and it does this. So it basically stays stable, but with a little bits of increases and decreases. So that's what we've got here. You see it goes boom, boom. E is the carrying capacity. Now, the carrying capacity is the number of organisms that this area can have comfortably. That's the carrying capacity of the area. Now, clearly here, the carrying capacity is about, if that's about 225 there. So I'll say this is about 250 plus minus 215. So at 215, that's the average of what survives comfortably, because that is the carrying capacity of this area. This here would show a decrease in the population. Okay, but it's just a slight decrease. But this whole process here, I would say, is stable. It's a stable population because it's now going up and down, and those are just the normal ones that die. If, for example, this graph is drawn that it goes here and then it goes all the way down here, this here would be extinction. All right, so let's go to our questions here. Identify the phases labeled A and B. We've done that. Name the line E with the carrying capacity. Remember, the carrying capacity is the number of organisms that can be comfortably supported by an area. If, for example, I imported 1,000 baboons into this area, they would destroy the environment so badly, we would then have something called, just look here, environmental resistance. In other words, they will destroy the area, there won't be enough food or shelter or space, and eventually they will start dying. So the environmental resistance can make the carrying capacity of an area to drop. It will cause it to drop. Now, which part labeled in the graph is more likely that mortality is your death rate? Exceeded natality is your birth rate. So they want to know, when did the death rate exceed the birth rate? So more dead, it would be between C and D, or it would be D. It would be this area here. Okay? So it would be from about 5 years to about 6 years, the death rate increased. And it would be, we labeled it D. All right, natality equals mortality. I told you that's when we have an equilibrium. It is a balance. Okay, so your death rate and your birth rate are balanced here, equilibrium phase. Give one reason why there is a rapid growth rate at B, because we have births. Okay, so this is when there is gestation, and that lag phase is gestation and acclimatization. They get used to the area. This is when all those babies are born. Okay, all right, people, just another graph, another growth process is this. You have, this is time, this is your number of organisms, or let's go organisms. Okay, this is your Y, it's X, this is 0. Okay, this applies to your bacteria, fungi, algae, and pretty much, and by the way, humans. It's ridiculous. We also tend to reproduce like this. Okay, you start off with one organism, and that goes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. But you basically multiplying 2 times 2, 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 2. And you end up with the organisms doing a J-shaped, so this is the geometric growth form. Okay? Or we can call it the J-shaped graph. Okay, the J-shaped graph. And what happens is, if this is a bacteria, we take an antibiotic, and you must take your antibiotics for the full term, because if just one little bacteria survives, it then grows again. All right, so that's your J-shaped graph, your geometric growth graph. And there was something else that I wanted to go through. How much time have we got?
We've got 7 minutes. I think.
Okay.
What does it say?
I think your essay question, okay, is going to be, and I want to do mark recap. How much time have I got?
We've literally got 7 minutes, Kathy. So,
okay.
You want to do tips?
No. Before we do tips.
Okay.
Before we do tips. Okay. We're going to do the quadrant method. Okay, and we're going to do the mark recapture. Recapture mark method. Okay, you've got to know both of these. Okay, your quadrant method, what you do is you pick an area, any area. Number one, you must know size of total, or total size of area. So you'll know what I mean there. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you choose your quadrants at random. Okay, so you can't say I'm going to do all of them all the way down this line here. So if I want to do, if my known area is a rugby field, I'm not going to choose my quadrants down the one side of it. I'm going to choose them at random. So you take a stone, you throw it over your shoulder, and wherever it lands, that's your quadrants. So quadrants must be chosen at random. Number three, your quadrants must equal 10% of total area. And number four, you must be very accurate in the quadrant. So whatever it is you're looking at, beetles, earthworms, grass, daisies, whatever it is you're doing, you make sure that your count is very accurate in that quadrant. And a quadrant is 1 meter by 1 meter. Okay, so that's your quadrant. And that quadrant method, you are sampling. It's a whole sampling process. So what you do is you take all your quadrants, you add all the little organisms, the earthworms, the beetles, the whatever it was, the daisies that you were counting, and you then are clearly going to calculate to be part of the total area. And then you can say, that's how many you have in this area, approximately. All right, so it's not like a census where you count. Here, when we go mark, recapture, mark method, let's choose another color. With the mark, recapture, mark method, I have a game farm. I want to see how many wildebeest, or impala I have on this game farm. So what do? I go and I catch a whole bunch of impala and I put them in an enclosure. All right, so whatever I've got. So that's number one, that's my first catch. Okay, so I take my first catch and I mark them, but I mark them in a safe way. I take my first catch, I mark them, then I release them, and I release them for 2 or 3 weeks. Then I go out and I collect all these animals back again, and I multiply it by my second catch. Okay, now clearly, if I look at my second catch, there are going to be some that are marked here. There are going to be some marked, which means they came from this first catch, and I'm going to have some that are unmarked. Okay, and then I multiply those two and I divide by the number marked in the second catch. And that's your formula. And if you do that, you cannot go wrong. How do you make it more accurate? You do it again and again and again and again. The more times you mark, recapture, mark, the more accurate your results or your estimation will be. And remember, when you mark the animals, they will always ask you this. If they ask you mark, recap, they'll say, and if you mark the animals, what must you bear in mind? Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, what they want you to say is that you can't mark the animal in a way that's going to be harm it. So you can't use toxic paint. You can't use lead rings that you stick through its body so it can absorb the lead. You can't harm that animal in any way. You can't take a buck and paint a big red circle on its behind, because it will then no longer be camouflaged. Okay, so, and you also can't use the mark, recapture, mark method on any animal that's going to die within the period that you did. So you couldn't do it with fruit flies, because if you did it with fruit flies, well, guess what? They die in 24 hours, so that would be a bit of a useless process. Okay, we now have very little time left. This is what I think. I reckon that your essay is going to be on hormones. I reckon it's going to be on homeostasis. I definitely believe they're going to ask you antidiuretic hormone, insulin, and how insulin controls the blood sugar, how the thyroid plays a role in controlling your metabolism as well as your temperature, your thermoregulation. I would learn that as an essay. Okay, it's the nicest essay ever, and it's also nice to mark. And you must remember, when the markers do it, they also want something easy to mark. I also think you must know succession. They will ask you a question on succession, and primary succession is simply, honestly, that if everything's been destroyed, there is nothing left, there's a volcanic eruption and it's just rock, okay, then you have primary succession. Secondary succession is when you've plowed a field and you've taken all the plants out of the soil, and you now replant your new crop, or you just leave it fallow for that year. Then you would have your secondary succession. But you're always going to have, you start off, you're going to have your and now I've gone just absolutely blank.
No, Kathy.
You're gonna have your primary organisms that come along, then you're gonna have your opportunistic organisms that come along, then you're gonna have your secondary organisms that come along, and then you're gonna have this wonderful complex bionic bio process that comes along, and you end up with your forests, etc. But the difference between primary and secondary, primary, always there's nothing, rock, death, absolute destruction, and then it follows. And secondary, there is something, but it died, and now we're going to start again. There was a drought, etc. Okay. there's also there's geography on Tuesday, so please remember to tune in for that. We still haven't finished with our thing. Reproduction, please, they can either give you something like the question we did, where you have the pituitary gland and the hormones, so you've got all the graphs, or they can give you the uterus, and as that little egg is fertilized, how the process is and where it's fertilized at, etc., etc. That's what I think they're going to give you. I'm trying to think. Plant hormones, definitely they will give you something on plant hormones, but it's not going to be a major mark process. It'll be maximum 8 marks, where they'll give you the little plants and they'll give you a unilateral light stimulus and the thing phototropic. So it's positively phototropic, it grows towards light. And we've now run out of time, and my brain is going at 1,000 different
Well,
rates.
guys, what I can say is, I know we have to go now, but the Facebook page is up and running, and Mindsetters seem to be helping each other out. So go and post your questions on there. Guys, please also help Mindsetters, help other Mindsetters out. And good luck for the exam tomorrow, guys. And don't forget, geography is live on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Good luck, guys, and you guys are going to do awesome.
I think what I'll do is, it's going to take me half an hour to get home. When I get home, I'll go onto the Learn website and see if there are any major problems, and I'll sit and try and explain it to you via
Facebook.
Via Facebook.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll send you the link.
But I'll dedicate 1 hour. Okay. So it's now 5:30. So 6 o'clock we'll start. And we'll go 6 to 7.
1 hour. Kathy's going to answer questions, and she's going to answer questions that she thinks is important. And it's time, and we've got to go.
We've got to go. Cheers, good luck, enjoy, and think before you ink. Bye-bye.
Bye.